In section 1.5, we will talk about measuring rotation, sketching angles, and coterminal angles. An angle is in standard position if its vertex is located at the origin and one ray is on the positive x-axis. This is called the initial side on the positive x-axis. This is the starting side of the angle. Now, the angle either opens up in a counterclockwise direction, in which case it'll have a positive measure, or it'll open in a clockwise direction, in which case it'll have a negative measure. This is called the terminal side. Okay, where the angle stops, this is called the terminal side. And the angle is measured by the amount of rotation from the initial side to the terminal side. If the angle is measured in a counterclockwise direction, meaning going up, the angle is positive. If it's measured in a clockwise direction going down, then the angle is negative. If the terminal side of an angle lies on the axes, such as the positive y-axis or the negative x-axis or the negative y-axis or the positive x-axis, so in any of these angles, 90, 180, 270, or 360, it is called a quadrantal angle. Okay, so now that we have the basics out of the way, let's go ahead and take a look at the next part. So you want to sketch the following angles. 45 degrees. Now remember, every angle in standard form is going to have its vertex at the origin, and this is going to be the initial side. Because the angle is positive, we are going to go in a counterclockwise direction, or we're going to go up. And 45 degrees is approximately going to be here. Okay, now we have 120 degrees. Remember that this is 90, this is 180, this is 270, and if you make a full rotation, then you come back to 360 degrees. So if you want to sketch 120 degrees, so again, you have a vertex, you have your initial side that never changes. Because the angle is positive, we're going to go up. So this is going to be 90 degrees. To get to 120, we know we have to go 30 more because 90 plus 30 is 120. So this angle here is going to be 120 degrees. Okay, let's take a look at the next angle. So this is 90 degrees. This is 180. This is 270. This is 360. So if we want 240, we're starting at the initial side, always on the positive x-axis. Then we got 240. So we have 90. 90 plus 90 is 180. And then we got to think about 180 plus what is 240. So we know that 180 plus 60 is 240. So this angle approximate, so this is 90 plus 90 is 180 plus 60 is 240. So this angle will be 240 degrees. Now let's take a look at a negative angle. So for a negative angle, we're once again starting at the initial side. And because it's negative, so when we go negative in the negative direction, we're going down this way. So this is negative 90, this is negative 180, this is negative 270, and this is negative 360. So negative 160, it means we're going to have negative 90. And then you got to think about negative 90 plus what is negative 160. So we know that negative 90 and negative 70 will give you negative 160. So this angle is going to be negative 160 degrees. Okay, negative is always going down or clockwise, positive is always going up or counterclockwise. So this next angle is also negative. So we have, this is negative 90, this is negative 180, negative 270, negative 360. So we're starting at the initial side. Negative 250, so we're going to go down, that's negative 90. Then we're going to go 90 more, that's negative 180. Then you got to think about negative 180 plus what is negative 250. So that's, we have to go negative 70 more, because negative 180 plus negative 70 is negative 250. So we're going to end up right here. Okay, next we have negative 300. So once again, This is negative 90. This is negative 180, negative 270, and negative 360. So if you have negative 300, we're starting at the initial side. We have negative 90, then negative 90, that's negative 180. And then you got to think about, well, how much more do we have to go? Well, we have to go negative 90 more because that's negative 270. And then if you go 30 more, that gives us negative 300 degrees. So next one we have 180. So 180, this is your initial side. This is 90 plus 90 is 180. So 180 is just going to be this straight horizontal line. We have negative 270. So we're starting at the initial side. A negative angle, it means we're going to go clockwise or open down. So here we have negative 90, negative 180, negative 270. So this is going to be our terminal side. And notice that we're going in a clockwise direction because the angle is negative. And then lastly, we have negative 90. So this is 0 degrees. Negative means we go in the clockwise direction. And this is negative 90. So this will be our terminal side. Okay, now let's take the 30-degree angle in standard position. So this is it right here. But then let's take the 390-degree angle. So for 390, we're going 30 degrees. And then if you go another full rotation, so if we take 30 and you go all the way around, a full rotation is 360. So if we add 30, if we take 30 degrees and add 360 to it, 360 is a full rotation, then we get 390 degrees. Okay, so another way of looking at it is to get to 390, we make a full rotation, that's 360. And then if we go 30 more, 360 plus 30, that'll give us 390. So notice that the terminal side of a 30-degree angle and the terminal side of a 390-degree angle is the same. And I'm going to show you guys that one more time. So if I make a full rotation, that's 360. And if I go 30 more, so 360 plus 30 is going to be 390. So the 30-degree angle and the 390-degree angle, they have the exact same terminal side. So 390 and 30, if we sketch them, they don't look any different. They look like the exact same angle. So formally, we say that angles that share the same terminal side are called coterminal angles. Okay, coterminal angles are angles that share the same terminal side. So we want to sketch now a negative 330-degree angle to see what that looks like. So negative 330-degree angle is going to look like this. Okay, so our initial side is going to be on the x-axis, as always, positive x-axis. So this is negative 90. That's 90 more, that's negative 180. That's 90 more, that's negative 270. Then we got to say, okay, negative 270 plus what is negative 330? For that, we have to go negative 60 more, and then this will give us an angle that's negative 330 degrees. But if this is 60, then this angle has to be 30 degrees, right? Because 60 and 30 have to add up to 90. So negative 330 is also the same exact angle as 30 degrees, as 360 degrees, or 390 degrees. So we can say that negative 330 is also coterminal with 30 degrees. Negative 330, this is also coterminal with 30 degrees and also with 390 degrees. And we can find an infinite number of angles that are coterminal with 30 and 390. So now in this case, we want to name two positive and two negative angles that are coterminal with 60 degrees. So here's what we know. In order to get a coterminal angle, we can just add 360 because when you add a full rotation, you end up at the same terminal side. Or we can take 30 degrees and subtract 360, and same thing happens. We end up at the same terminal side. So when we add and subtract 360, we get coterminal angles. So here it says name two positive and two negative angles that are coterminal with 60 degrees. So let's go ahead and do that. If I take 60 degrees and I add 360 to it, that's a full rotation, I end up at the same terminal side. That's going to be 720. That's one positive coterminal angle. If I take 60 degrees and I make two full rotations, so I make two rotations of 360, then the exact same thing happens. I end up at the same terminal side. It's like adding two 360-degree angles, right? So if I do that, that's going to give me, oh, you know what? I'm sorry. This should be, I don't know what I was thinking here. This should be 420 degrees. I'm so sorry. And then this is going to be 480 degrees or 780 degrees. So 2 times 360, this is 720. 720 plus 60 is 780. So those angles are coterminal with 60. So we can add and subtract multiples of 360 because that's one full rotation to get coterminal angles. Now the same exact thing on the other side. So if I take 60 degrees and I subtract 360, that'll give me negative 300 degrees. That's coterminal with 60. If I take 60 degrees and I subtract two rotations of 360, then this is going to give me negative 660 degrees, and this is also going to be coterminal with 60 degrees. So to determine whether angles are coterminal, we're going to add and subtract 360 degrees, because that is one full rotation, until each angle is between 0 and 360. If the angles are the same, then the angles are coterminal. Otherwise, they are not. So let's take this first example here. We have 120 and 240. Now 120 is between 0 and 360, so that one's good. Negative 240 isn't. So our objective is to take each angle and add or subtract 360 until we get an angle that is in between 0 and 360. So the angles have to be between 0 and 360. So if I take negative 240 and add 360 to it, because remember that's one full rotation, this gives me 120 degrees. Just to show you guys, I'm gonna do a quick sketch. So 120 degrees, we're starting at 0, 90 plus 30, this is going to be 120 degrees. Now, if I draw negative 240, take a look at what's happening. I'm going in the counterclockwise direction. So this is going to be negative 90. This is going to be negative 90 more. That's negative 180. Now, negative 180 plus 60 is going to be negative 240. So this angle is negative 240 degrees. Notice that it's the same exact angle, same exact terminal side. So 120 and negative 240, these are coterminal. Let's take 141 and 861. Now 141, that's between 0 and 360, so we're good with that. But 861 is not. So let's take 861 and subtract 360 degrees. Okay, if we do that, if we take 861 and subtract 360 from it, then we are going to end up with 501 degrees. But that's still not between 0 and 360. So if I take 501 degrees and subtract 360 from it, that gives me 141 degrees. Since these angles are the same, yes, the two angles are coterminal. Okay, let's take another one. Negative 1044 degrees. That's definitely not between 0 and 360. So this time to get to between 0 and 360, I have to add 360 degrees. So if I add 360, I get negative 684 degrees. If I do that again, I end up with negative 324 degrees. Now we're still not between 0 and 360, but if I add 360 again, then I end up with positive 36 degrees. So this is now between 0 and 360, so we can stop. Let's do the same thing for 756. If I subtract 360 and subtract 360 again, this will give me 36 degrees. Therefore, both angles are going to be coterminal. The rest we will do in class.